I'm a tattoo artist. The internet is a tool to get information and, for work and stuff. So I think the worst digital practice is probably internet bullying or just this sense that everyone's talking about other people's opinion rather than debating the actual subject. And that creates a lot of negative feedback on the internet. Waste of time. It's just so time consuming and it's designed so that you'll just keep going and I feel like people are wasting considerable hours of their lives just scrolling shit. To learn new things on the internet, I usually just go on Google or Wikipedia, but I try to not use the first search results and go a bit deeper than that, or genuinely I'd read a book if I wanted to learn something. To meet new people, I don't use the internet, to be honest. I usually just meet people in person and I have enough of a friend group that it just kind of happens naturally. Instagram for me is a tool for work. I mean, it's also a personal tool and I have my private page and that, but it's mostly a work tool. I think the internet scares me because it has made information so accessible that it's almost like people don't search for knowledge anymore because it's so much at the end of our fingertips that we're not looking for it anymore. It's making us a bit stupid, to be honest. The internet gives me hope because in some ways it's a really good tool to bring people together and to learn things about new stuff and to discover things that you wouldn't necessarily have access to in the place that you are. TikTok is the bane of our modern world, for real. In my opinion, it's really not a good thing. I think fake news is inevitable given how media and information is produced at the moment. Fake news was going to happen. And I think it's really dangerous for a lot of people. The best platform for online culture, I wouldn't really know. I don't think that I use it that much for that. If I want access to culture, I'd go to a museum or go to a library or meet people that know about the thing that you're looking to know about. If you want to learn about Italian cuisine, talk to an Italian chef or something. Don't just look about it on the internet. I think a cultural discovery that I maybe rediscovered was going to see live music. After COVID, so many concerts were cancelled and it was so nice to get back to a place where you're listening to the instrument directly and you can hear the humane aspect of a live musical instrument. It's so nice. I think culture in 2019 for me, we took it a bit for granted. COVID hadn't happened yet. Everything was, you wanted to go to a concert, you went. You wanted to see live music, you went. Museums were open, The idea of being in a large group wasn't abnormal, and so I think we just took it more for granted at that stage. Culture in 2022, I think it changed a lot. A lot of things that became digitalized stayed digitalized, and I think that's a bit of a shame that a lot of things aren't going to change back to the way they were before, and watching a 3D video of a museum is not the same as going to the museum and looking at the painting, and I think that's very different. And post-COVID, everyone was going out and doing concerts and all of that. I think it was really refreshing to go back and see the importance that culture and art has on our lives. What I imagine culture in 2030, I hope that it stays as important as it's been. I'm afraid that everything will be too digital and that there won't be that contact thing anymore, and there's just ways in which COVID has changed things in a permanent way in that kind of sector, for sure. Over the past 2 years, I've discovered that human contact is so important, and I think the way we consume just our lives, the way we're touched by culture, by the relationships that we have, just quality of life. I think that being holed up in an apartment for almost a year really gives you perspective on how you treat your time and how you approach nourishing yourself, like your body and your soul. And I think in the last 2 years, that's what I've learned the most about. Hope is a strong word. What gives me hope? I guess I hope that things will evolve and change in a positive way, and that we won't go so far down a hole that we can't get out of. Climate is a really huge worry for me, and I really hope that we manage to turn things around. And yet I also feel quite defeated by the reality of what we're facing. A good podcast that I like listening to is Le Cœur sur la Table. It's a French podcast, but it's really interesting, and it talks a lot about how we function in relationships and having, taking that space to observe yourself and your own behaviours in a way that's compassionate so that you can evolve. To refocus, I really separate out the time that I spend with myself and the time that I'm spent focusing on what I need to do, whether that's work, chores, family, whatever it is. Really separating out time to really rest properly, and then once I've recuperated well, going back to the task. Because if every moment that I'm supposed to be resting, I'm worrying about what I have to do afterwards, I'm not really resting. I will be in 2030, well, I hope, I'll be settled, I'll be comfortable, I'll be happy, I'll keep doing what I love and be around people that I love, and that's all I can wish for, I guess.